Morning all. Well now, unfortunately the British weather has determined that I will not be in the garden today, so I'm stuck indoors. So I'm in the kitchen admiring phase 2 of my under cabinet lighting project, where I use strips of LED 12 volt strips to provide a nice, smooth, even lighting under the cabinets in the kitchen. But there seems to be a bit of a problem. See if you can spot what it is. This is phase 2 of the project, and this is phase 1. Phase 2, phase 1. Yeah, they're different colours. Phase 1, this is strips I put in, I don't know what it was now. Must be a couple of years ago, I guess. It's gone a different colour. That's gone a sort of dull yellow, and that's a much brighter white. So is it the case that these LED strips degrade over time and the colour changes? I mean, certainly they've degraded in the sense that some of the clusters of 3 LEDs have failed. There's a failed cluster there. There's a cluster there of 3 that's gone a bit dim. And I did notice earlier some of them were flickering. Can't see any flickering ones at the moment. Let's see if I can find a set that's flickering. Yeah, that group there are flickering on and off. So they do go bad over time, but it looks like they also change colour. Now the other thing I learnt between the first phase of this project and the one I've just done is about connecting these things up. On the first phase, I just shoved the wires that were already attached to these strips in parallel into one of those CCTV 2.1mm to a terminal block converters, and that's sort of suspended under the cabinet using one of those plumber's pipe clips. So this is the plumber's pipe clip, and this is the CCTV style. It's a female 2.1mm jack to a double terminal block, and the one fits into the other reasonably well. It's not a perfect fit, but it's good enough that when it's hanging underneath the cabinet, it just holds it in place. But although this looks fairly simple, it's actually very difficult to do because you're under the cabinet, everything's upside down. I had to kind of lie on the cabinet top to actually do this, and I thought there must be a better way. So on phase 2, I've got the same pipe clip with the same CCTV connector, but on top of it I've mounted some of these Wago commoning blocks, and that meant that I could solder these single core rigid wires onto the end of the light strips. Gosh, that one's already failed, hasn't it? And then just push them into the commoning blocks. I'll show you what the commoning blocks are. So this is the pack of commoning blocks that I bought, made by Wago. And all it is that the 4 connection points on each of the blocks are just all attached to each other. They're all a single piece of metal. So if you stack a black one next to a red one, and they do have these interlocking slides, I'll just lock them together. So that's them locked together. You've got a positive and a negative commoning block, and then under the cabinet you can put, I had to use 2 rows of strip lights to get enough light. You can connect them both to the positive terminal, and you can connect them both to the negative. Now the other thing that you may need for doing this is some of this very high bond double-sided sticky gel tape, and it is insanely sticky. So sticky in fact that the original polythene bag it came in has all stuck to it and I can't get it off now. But it's a double-sided gel. The red bit is the peel off backing. It's pure transparent, incredibly sticky, and you need that because, as you'll see under here, in some areas it just starts to droop because the adhesive isn't particularly good. It's labelled 3M, but I mean, these are cheap Chinese lead strips. Can't be sure it's genuine, double-sided, sticky, and the gel tape is just a lot stickier. Now, it is true that the second reel of these LED strip lights that I bought came from a different eBay seller from the first reel, so that might go some way to explaining why the colour under there is different to the colour under that side. But I do believe that these have changed colour over time and become dimmer. And someone did warn me actually when I made the first video about this that would happen. Now, in terms of power supplies, the phase 1 is quite a long stretch of about 2 meters. So I bought this 4 amp 12 volt power supply. It was cheap, it was on eBay, it had no fuse. Well, it did have a fuse, it had a very thin track on the PCB, and that just blew immediately. So I had to fit an additional fuse in there, which I just soldered in, and then I found that that kept blowing, so then I had to replace it with a time delay fuse, a T fuse, and since then it's been absolutely fine. And on the other side, on the phase 2 side, I found I had this Ryobi power tool 12 volt power supply with a horrible 2-pin American style connector. So I put a shaver adapter in there, just plug that in. This is just a 4-way block which I've wired into the mains that comes up here off the switch, and so that's how that side's powered. So now all that's needed is phase 3, which is just this little section here, which originally had a fluorescent strip tube thing under there, terribly unreliable, kept having to replace bulbs far too frequently. So I'll just take a few more of these LED lights off the strip, fit them under this third section, and that will be the project completed. Well, I say completed until, of course, so many of these little groups of LEDs fail that I have to start the whole thing all over again.